Okay, today what we're going to do is we're going to do something really, really important, slightly technical, slightly difficult, because it's an upgraded version of the law of conservation of momentum. Uh, okay, so earlier what we discussed was, for the past few classes, we've been discussing, the law of conservation of momentum, sticking objects, different cases, scenarios, application of law of conservation of momentum. How do you derive law of conservation of momentum from Newton's third law and second law, right? And then we also discussed Newton's third law. Now, moving on. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Wow, I just had dinner and I can. One second. Ooh, it's still so spicy. Okay. Now, what we're going to do now is we've, discussed the law of conservation of momentum. But what we discussed was we discussed the law of conservation of momentum in a single dimension, right? Right? Because you studied that the ball, whatever object is colliding, they're either going left or right, left or right, left or right, right? So it's sticking to a single plane. It's in one dimensional only. It's either right or it's either left, right? But now what we're going to do is now we're going to bring it to two dimensions, right? So now the momentum could vary in left, right, or it could go upwards and downwards as well, right? So now you have two dimensions in which the object could colliding, in which object could go. So that means it could go into this plane as well. It could go into this plane as well. And it could go into an angled plane as well, right? So what do we do about the conservation of momentum when we have angled momentums? When we have, momentum that is going a bit to the right and a bit upwards as well, right? That's exactly what we're going to do now. What happens when we have momentum in angles, and how do we find out the law of conservation of momentum, or how do we find out the velocities, or direction and all of that by using vectors. So we're going to use vector resolution as a really, really important tool over here. It would not make sense without vector resolution. Use vector resolution. Just for a recap about vector resolutions, if you remember, for example, if I have a velocity that is at an angle of 30 degrees, okay? Now, if a velocity has an angled component, right? It's moving 30 meter, sorry, it's moving at a velocity v, but at an angle. Now, this means whatever this object is, let's say this is a ball, this means that the ball is going a little bit to the right, right? It's going a little bit to the right and it's going a little bit upwards, right? It's a combination of both of these, which is making your resultant vector, which, what am I saying? Resultant vector, which is at a 30-degree angle, right? So if you combine both the rightward velocity and the upward velocity, they both combine to give you the angled vector. Whenever you throw a ball at an angle, the ball is going a bit to the right and a bit upwards as well. And when you combine both of those vectors, you get an angle vector. And if you remember, we did a tiny little derivation that we say that how do I find out the components of that vector, right? How do I find out how much right is the ball going and how much upwards is the ball going? For that, you can just, remember that the vector that is next to the angle is always v times cos theta. Okay. And right, this is the velocity that was only towards the right. Okay. But how much upwards is the ball going, right? Because this is only the rightward part of the velocity. How much up is the ball going? You use the perpendicular component, which is going to be this one, right? So this one, which is always in front of the angle, is always v sine theta. Okay, by the way, you can switch this over here as well, right? So this is just just a displacement, and vectors, if you move them parallel to each other, they don't change. So you can write this over here or you can write this over here. It's absolutely the same thing. So in front of the angle v sine theta 30, and with the angle is going to be cos 30. Okay, so v sine theta
Excuse
is
me, sir. Sorry to interrupt. I'll be like gone for a few minutes because I need to take my medications. So like I'll be like
oh,
just letting you know I'll be gone.
okay. How much time? Will you be back in
I
two
think
minutes?
Uh, yeah, like 3 minutes like that maximum.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yes, Abiha, are you familiar with this concept? Do you have problem in understanding vector resolution? Because you haven't covered it yet with me. Yes, Abiha, can you hear me? Oh, Abiha isn't here. Too bad. Yes, Abiha, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just disconnected.
Okay. Did you listen to this bit?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Do you have a problem in understanding vector resolution because you haven't studied it with me? Did you get this part? You
Yeah,
break
I got
basically.
it.
You got it? Oh, okay. Okay. Sounds good. Because we're going to be using this concept right now in, the momentum part, right? So if you have an angled vector, if you break it into parts, you can break it into the sine theta component and the cos theta component. The cos theta is always the horizontal component, and the sine theta is always the vertical component. The vertical component tells you how much up is the vector going, and the horizontal vector tells you how much right is the vector going. In the same way, for example, if I have a vector like this, okay, now this is a vector, some random vector which I've drawn. Now this vector is going a little bit up and it's going a little bit right. So that means I can break this vector into two parts. So this line would be how much right is the vector going, and this line would be how much up is the vector going, right? I could draw this over here, or I could draw this over here, either ways. Okay, so that means, so if this is H and this angle between them is theta, the component that is vertical, right? How much up is the vector going is going to be H sine theta. And how much rightwards is the vector going is going to be H cos theta. Okay, so that's, we'll discuss this later in our, recap classes, but I believe you should be comfortable with this up till now. Okay. Yes, Abiha, are you back?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Wait, who was, yes, Kaima, are you back? I think so, she
Yes, I'm
is.
back.
Yes, okay, let's begin. So this is just a recap of vectors that we, discussed earlier. Now, starting the law of conservation of momentum, we are now going to talk about the law of conservation of momentum, which is the extended version. Initially, the law of conservation of momentum was what? That we said the sum of momentum before collision should equal to sum of momentum after collision, right? Sum of momentum after collision, right? Earlier, we just, ended at, in a closed system without any external forces, right? But if you want to extend it even further and you want to generalize it for all directions, then you would say that the sum of momentum before collision equal to sum of momentum after collision in all directions. In all directions is a really important one. So, like, this is the complete law of conservation of momentum. So, momentum is going to be conserved in all directions in a closed system without external forces. Okay, so this is the complete law of conservation of momentum. Now, how do we rewrite the m1 u1 m2 u2 equation? Okay, now consider this. Earlier, all of them we had all of the vectors in the same direction, right? It was just m1 u1 plus m2 u2 plus m1 v1 plus m2 v2. Now we're going to change it a bit. For example, this is before collision. This is just a general expression that we're writing, so you can write that down as the general idea, and then we'll use this idea later on in questions. Okay. So if what is the total momentum before collision? How do we know that? Let's check. First of all, let's say that m1 has a velocity u1. Okay, now that is moving in a straight line, but m2 was moving at an angle. So let's say this had a velocity of u2 at an angle of alpha. Okay, then then they collide, and then m1 moves at a certain velocity v1 with an angle of beta. Okay, so when they collide, when they hit each other, then m1 moves away with a velocity v1 with an angle of theta. It moves in an angle. And then m2 also moves in a certain velocity v2 at an angle of gamma. Okay, you can choose a, b, c, angle, theta, whatever you want, but I'm just naming them different letters to show that they don't all necessarily have to be different angles nor the same. Okay, they could all be different, they could all be same. There's no such rule that they have to be the same. Okay, now how do I write the law of conservation of momentum for angled vectors? Okay, now how do I write the law of conservation of momentum 2D version, right? Law of conservation of momentum on steroids. This is the law of conservation of momentum on steroids. Okay, now we know from the statement that momentum is conserved in every direction. So that means momentum will be conserved horizontally and momentum will be conserved vertically. So how do I write the horizontal conservation? Now, what this means is that momentum horizontal before equal to momentum horizontal after. So that means horizontal momentum will be conserved before and after collision as well. Okay. Now this means we'll have to check what were the horizontal momentums. Now let's check. M1 U1 plus M2. Now let's check it out. 1 second. What would be the horizontal momentum before collision? Is M1 moving horizontally at all? No, it's not. It's only moving vertically, right? It's only moving to the right. M1 has no horizontal momentum. That means that's just going to be 0. Plus, what is going to be the horizontal momentum of M2? Now, first of all, think about it. In fact, let me bring this down. So this is going to come down here. And I'm only going to draw the horizontal components of their respective velocities. This is going to come down as well. Okay. Now, right now, I'm only talking about the horizontal conservation. Okay. That means I'll check only the horizontal velocities, only the horizontal parts. This one has 0 horizontal momentum. 0. But what will be the momentum of the M2? I will have to find out what is the component of M2, right? So that means I can break M2 into its horizontal component and its vertical component, right? So I can break it into its horizontal component and its vertical component. I only want the horizontal one, right? So that means I only need the horizontal one. And how would I write the horizontal momentum of M2? It's just going to be M2 cos alpha. Why did I write M2 cos alpha? Because that is going to tell me how much horizontal momentum did M2 have, right? Because this is going to be what? This is going to be, sorry, not M2, but P. This is going to be, this is going to be M2 U2 cos alpha. Why? Because, what we're doing is we're trying to find out what is the horizontal momentum of this ball. Okay. So the horizontal momentum would be what? So if, for example, if this is the momentum at an angle of theta, right? Then what would be the horizontal momentum? This would be P cos theta, right? And this would be P sine theta, right? But what is P? Isn't P just MV? So that would be MV cos theta. Okay. Any confusions up to this point? Because this is slightly technical
No.
and you might get lost. Yes, Kaima, Abiha, makes sense up to this point? It'll start
Yeah.
correcting soon.
Yeah,
Okay.
it makes
Now, then this is the horizontal momentum before collision, right? Before collision, the only horizontal momentum was this M2 U2 cos alpha. Why cos? Because of the horizontal component. Then, now let's talk about the horizontal component towards the right. Check it out. What is the horizontal momentum of M1 after collision? You can break this apart into two vectors, right? This would be M1 V1 cos beta. Why? Because that's the horizontal component. And that would be what? That would be M1 V1 sine beta. So that means I'm only going to write down the horizontal component M1 V1 cos beta. This is the horizontal momentum of M1 after collision. plus what is the horizontal momentum of m2 after collision? Again, draw the vector. This is going to be m2 v2 cos gamma. Why? Because that's again the horizontal component. So this is going to be m2 v2 cos gamma, right? Do you see that now we've written down the law of conservation of momentum horizontally? Okay. So this is how you would describe for a specific scenario the law of conservation of momentum for horizontal momentums. Now we'll do the same thing to make this a bit shorter. Oh, okay. Now we'll do the same thing for vertical components as well. Okay. Now momentum is going to be conserved in all directions as well, which means that momentum will be conserved in vertical components as well. So that means sum of momentum before vertically should equal to the sum of vertical momentum after collision. Okay. So that means vertical momentum will be conserved in, in this case as well. Vertical momentum before should equal to vertical momentum after. So like total vertical momentum should also be conserved. Okay. Now, what would be the vertical momentum? Again, let's check. In the same scenario, let's bring this. Okay. Now we'll talk about only the vertical components. What is the vertical components of M1? It's just M1U1. Why? Because that's, it only has, no, wait 1 second. I think we missed something. Horizontal. Oh, yes, sorry. This was horizontal. So this had M1U1. M1U1. Why? Because this was horizontal. We missed that, right? So this is just horizontal. So that's why this is going to stay as it is, M1U1. Now over here, since we're talking about the vertical components now, vertical M1 has no vertical momentum before collision. So this is going to be 0. Plus, what is the vertical momentum of M2 before collision? That's just going to be M2U2 sine alpha, right? Because if you remember, what would be the vertical component of this ball? That would be, in front of the angle, which would be momentum times sine alpha. And what is momentum? That's just M2U2. Okay. Then sine alpha equals to, this is the total vertical momentum before collision, right? How much momentum does the ball have in vertical direction? Okay. Then this should equal to the vertical momentum after collision. What is the vertical momentum after collision? This would be the vertical momentum of M1, which is going to be M1V1 sine beta because it's in front of the angle. And in the same way, what is going to be the vertical momentum of M2? That's going to be M2V2 sine of gamma, right? So that means what's the total vertical momentum after collision? This one and this one. It is going to be M1V1 sine beta plus M2V2 sine gamma. And here it is. Here is the law of conservation of momentum written down in vertical components. Okay. So these two statements are saying this is the law of conservation of momentum horizontally. Okay. And this would be the law of conservation of momentum vertically. And this is just a general example that is going to guide you on how to do questions, which have angled momentums. Okay. I'll leave you with a minute or two, and you can then ask questions. And if you want me to repeat some part, I can do that as well. But first, try to absorb it and then we'll move on. We'll solve a numerical example right after this and it'll make much, much more sense.
Wait, so
Hmm.
no matter if the collisions are elastic or inelastic, the horizontal and vertical conservation will always remain same, right?
Yes,
Or
momentum will be conserved no matter what the scenario, whether, you're in what part of the universe, momentum will always be conserved. The scenario where elastic or inelastic comes in is whether kinetic energy will be conserved. Momentum will always be conserved no matter what.
okay.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Abiha, did you get all of this?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes, Kaima, anything you didn't understand?
No.
Hmm. Okay. No, as in you didn't understand anything, or you understand everything?
No, I understood.
Okay. Okay. Now, moving on. We'll apply this exact concept in our question. Okay. And it'll make much more sense how we do it. Question. A spacecraft is moving through empty space at a velocity of 8 meters per second, and a meteoroid traveling at 15 meters per second hits it from behind. Okay. So basically, this is a meteoroid of 20 kilograms, and it hits with a velocity of 15 meters per second. It hits the rocket at an angle of 45, relative to the rocket. And the rocket has a mass of 350 kgs, and it was steadily moving at, 8 meters per second. But what happened later on was that when it hit, it crashed into the rocket and it embedded itself in it, right? That means that they stick together. They stick together. Okay. The question is, in fact, this is not just a single question, this is like three separate questions. Part one, find velocity of the rocket, right? Velocity of the rocket later on. Find the new momentum and then find the new angle trajectory. Why? Why did you find out the new angle trajectory? So imagine this. Think about it just for a second. Forget physics. The rocket is going in a straight line. The meteoroid hits it at an angle. So when it sticks together, it is going to alter the trajectory of the rocket by some angle, right? It's not going to keep on continuing straight. It's probably going to go at a certain angle trajectory V, right? And what we want to find out is we want to find out the new velocity, the new momentum, and the new angle. We've got to find out this theta, right? Because the meteoroid hit at an angle, so obviously the new velocity is always also going to be at an angle because you took the momentum from the meteoroid, and the meteoroid gave it a little bit of upward momentum as well, which is why the rocket and the rocket and the meteoroid is going a little bit up and a little bit right as well. Why? Because momentum is conserved in vertical directions as well as horizontal direction. Okay. Now I want you to first think about the question. It seems pretty daunting and weird and, pretty traumatizing how to solve this question. But just think about it for a minute or two, and then we'll try to solve it. It would be better if you even, try to write down some stuff and try to figure out the way to do this question. If you figure this question out, the rest is pretty easy. You just have to break it down into, horizontal conservation and vertical conservation. But the new angle trajectory part is a little difficult.
Wait, so the 45 degrees thing is initially, right?
What do you say?
The 45 degrees angle is the
Yes. So this is before.
it's before the collision with the
Yep.
meteorite.
Yep. And this is after. This is where
Okay.
they collide. Okay. Yes, Abiha. Any ideas how to solve this?
I'm trying.
Okay. It's okay if you can't do it, but I just want you to think what possible ways we could do this. Yes, Kaima. Any suggestions?
No.
No. Yes, Ariz. Any idea how? What do we do? Can you help solve it?
So till now, I'm not able to understand what we can do.
I'm not sure what to do at all. Do you understand the question though?
I mean, yeah, but how would you find out what V is
Mm.
without finding out what the new angle is?
Okay. Now, let's do it. This is slightly, this is not a single question. This is a 4-mark question. This is a 3-mark question. This is a 3-mark question, and this is a 3-mark question, right? So it's not a single question. So don't be amazed that this is not all just for 1 mark or 3 marks. This is like a 9-marker question and 3 separate questions, and we're going to try to do all of them together. Okay. And most of I think our class times are going to be up till we do this single question. Now, let's do it. Rather than thinking about the question first, let's try to break it into the law of conservation momentum. Okay, I'm going to write LCM for the law of conservation momentum now. We know that law of conservation momentum will hold horizontally, right? And it will hold vertically as well. Okay. Now let's first just write down what would be the law of conservation momentum horizontally. Okay. Let's check it out. So what would be sum of momentum horizontally before should equal to sum of momentum horizontally after. Okay. Let's check it out. What's the horizontal momentum before? Now, I think the meteoroid has horizontal momentum, which is equals to this value. This is going to be what? It's going to be 15 cos 45, right? Because that's the horizontal component of the meteor. Okay, let's write it down. 15 cos 45 plus. Does the rocket have any horizontal momentum? Yes, it does that. In fact, the only momentum it has is horizontal. So that's going to be 350 times 8. Okay. Now, what is the horizontal momentum after? Let's check it out. Keep in mind that they both stick together. They both stick together. So that's really important. So that means the rocket and the meteoroid is going to have a common velocity. Okay. So what is going to be the total horizontal momentum? It's going to be this value, right? It's going to be 350, or in fact, it's going to be 370 times V cos theta. Why did I do that? Because, how do I find out the horizontal momentum? That's just P cos theta. And what is P? That's just the total mass into total velocity. 370 times V. Why? Because they both have the same velocity. So I can use a common mass for that. Cos theta. Okay. That means what is the total horizontal momentum after? That's just going to be 370 times V cos theta. Okay. Now, I've made an expression for the horizontal momentum. Okay. Any questions up to this point? If you have any questions, you can just stop me there. Yes. Any problems so far?
Sir, for the momentum,
Yes.
before, don't you times 15 with 20 kg as well?
Oh, yes. Yes. Thank you for telling me. We missed that. So that's going to be m into v cos 45. And this was the mass of the meteoroid, and this was the velocity. So yes, you're right. So that would be 20 times 15 cos 45. Sounds good. Excellent. Okay. Then, yes, Kaima, any questions up till this point?
No.
No. Yes, Ariz, makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what is the the law of conservation of momentum vertically? Is momentum conserved vertically? Yes, it will. So that means momentum conserved vertically. Okay. So total momentum before equal to total momentum after in vertical directions now. So vertical momentum is also conserved. What is the vertical momentum? Let's check. What was the vertical momentum of the rock? It was this value. right? Up, how much up is the meteoroid going? That's going to be 20 times 15 sine 45, right? So that's going to be 20 times 15 sine 45. Okay, then we're not solving the question. Don't worry, as in, this is not, we're not, our point for this question is not to solve the question the quickest possible way. My point in this question is so that you can break the question into, the law of conservation momentum, and then, we'll figure out techniques to, how to solve it in the quickest possible way. Right now, we're just learning how to think about the concept. Okay, we're just using the question as an excuse to learn the concept. Okay, right now I'm just stating down the value just so that you can actually understand, this part clearly. So the law of conservation momentum, okay, so this was the momentum of the rock, vertical momentum plus. Did the rocket have any vertical momentum? No, it was only moving to the right. So 0. What were the vertical momentum after? Now, they're going to have some vertical momentum. It's going to be P sine theta, right? And what's the momentum? That's 370 into V sine theta. Okay, now I've written down two expressions, right? This is the conservation of vertical momentum, and this is the conservation of horizontal momentum. Okay, I have two expressions now. What to do? What the hell am I supposed to do? Now, question was find velocity of the rocket. How do we find out velocity of the rocket? Okay, first of all, I think, it was not entirely necessary to write down both of them, but you can find out V by using any single one of those expressions. How? Do you see that you only have one unknown in either one of those, which is V, right? And even theta is known. Theta is known. Theta is what? Theta is, oh no, right. We don't know theta. Okay. That is a problem. Yes, we don't know theta. Hmm. Okay. Yes. Any ideas? What do you think? What do you think? It is a difficult question. But this difficult question, if you understand this, any angled momentum question, you will be able to solve pretty easily. This is slightly one of the difficult ones. What to do? Yes, RS. Any ideas? Because, we don't know what theta is because theta is this, theta is unknown.
Yeah, that's why I'm not sure. But how are we gonna find theta? Because we
We don't know
need
V and we don't know theta as well.
we or theta, right, to find out the other.
If we had theta, then, it would be so easy to do. Okay. Okay. Now, we can do one thing. We can do one thing. What if, what if, so this is a technique which might seem initially confusing, okay, but try to listen carefully. Uh, Give me 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay. Yes, let's get back to the question. Now, no ideas? Should I solve it? Yes. Okay. I'm solving it. Now, we just have to be a bit smart of it. Why? We don't need to really calculate the theta angle immediately. Alhamdulillah. We don't need to calculate theta immediately. How about rather than saying V cos theta, I can just call this VH. Rather than saying this is V sine theta, I can just say that is V vertical, right? And can I find out the horizontal components and the vertical components of velocity, right? The theta part comes later, but I know that the value that will come out is it will be the horizontal part and this will be the vertical part. Now, can I find out what the horizontal velocity was from here, right? Basically, what I'm trying to find out is I'm trying to find out this entire value. What was V sine theta and what was V cos theta, right? Because whatever that value comes out to, right, that will be VH. So this is what? This is VH and this is V vertical. So what if I were to find out vertical velocity and horizontal velocity? Don't you think that if I had the horizontal component and if I had the vertical component, can't I just use Pythagoras to find out the actual resultant velocity? And then wouldn't finding out the theta be really easy as well? So that's how you actually think about it. Now let's solve for vertical velocity. I'll recap the question, once we're done with the calculation. So how do I find out VH? You just make that the subject. So if you can do it quickly, that would be great. I'm writing down the expression 20 into 15 cos 45. Make sure you're using brackets, right? Plus 350 into 8 divided by 370. That would be equal to horizontal velocity. Okay. Do put that in the calculator and let me know what that comes out to. And I'm doing it for the other one. So 20 into 50, 20 into 15 sine 45 divided by 370 is vertical velocity. Yes, anyone? What's the horizontal velocity? What does that come out to? Yes, Abhiya. Have you calculated it? Do you have one calculated?
For horizontal, I got 8.14.
8.14 meters per second. And what about the vertical one? Yes. Yes, Aris. Have you found it out?
So I was trying to calculate it because I lost my calculator.
Oh, nice. If you lost it, you need to get it as soon as possible. You cannot survive in A levels if you do not have a scientific calculator. They will
Yeah,
eat
no,
you.
I
They
think
will
I
eat
think
you
it's with one of
alive.
my no, it's
Okay.
probably with one of my friends.
Okay. Yes, Abhiya, done?
I
Vertical
got
velocity.
I got 0.57 for vertical.
0.57 meters per second. Okay. Now, do you see that if you take this diagram around, don't we now have the horizontal and vertical components? Now we know that, if you just skip all this, okay, we know what the horizontal velocity is now. We know that it's 8.14 meters per second. This is VH. And what is the vertical velocity? The vertical velocity is also known to us. We've calculated that as well, 0.57 meters per second. Now, if you have a right triangle, can't we just use Pythagoras to find out, the resultant? Can we find out the length of this vector? Yes, we can. If this is 0.57, this is 8.14. We can easily use Pythagoras to find out what the the resultant velocity is. So that is going to be 8.14 square plus 0.57 square equal to V with the square root. And what does that turn out to? Let me do that. Yes, Kaima, with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so this comes out as 8.16 roughly, 8.16 meters per second. So that means this is actually going to be what? This is going to be 8.16 meters per second. Now, can we find out theta? Yes, we can. You can use whatever you want. It's going to come out as 4 degrees. I've already written the answer. It's going to be, you can use whatever you want. You can use sine theta, tan theta, cos theta, whatever you want. Let's use tan theta. So for example, tan theta is what? Tan theta is through proper brushing. So that's going to be perpendicular divided by the base. What's the perpendicular value? That's 0.57. What's the base value? That's 8.14. Right? We're just trying to use geometry to find out this theta. So we want to find out theta, right? So theta is going to be tan inverse 0.57 divided by 8.14. So if I plug that in the calculator, it's going to give me a value of 4 degrees. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. We figured out the new trajectory. We figured out the angled velocity. And what else? Find new momentum. New momentum is just going to be this. 350 plus 20 times the angled vector. What was that? 8.16. This is new momentum, right? The angle momentum is going to be this because you already found out velocity. So, you can just assume that you figure it out. Okay. And that's how you solve this question. So this is not just a single question. This is like, separate 3 big questions or, in fact, the angle trajectory wouldn't be worth that much. That would just be, like 2 marks at best because you just had to use tan theta to figure out the angle. The most important part was finding velocity. If you figure out velocity, the rest is pretty easy. Even for momentum. For momentum, I think just 2 marks would be good enough. Why? Because, in fact, it should be like this. So for velocity, you should have gotten 4 marks. For new momentum, 2 marks, and new angle trajectory also 2 marks. So let me summarize what we just did, and then I'll ask for questions. What we did was, initially, you had a rocket which was going at an angle of 45 degrees, and it hit a rocket of 350 kgs. The rocket had no horizontal momentum. Then it hit with the rocket, it collided together and started to move together with a velocity of v. Okay. And this was moving at a velocity v with an angle of theta. And our question was find velocity, find new momentum, and find this new theta. First, we wrote down, was momentum conserved horizontally? Yes, it was. Right. So we wrote down all the horizontal momentums. And, rather than writing v cos theta, we wrote v horizontal, because if you break the velocity into 2 parts, this is horizontal velocity and this is vertical velocity. Whatever the sine theta and cos theta part is, we don't need to think about that right now. In fact, you can even ignore that for now. We know that this is v vertical and this is v horizontal, right? We know that, if you do vh, that's just going to be the horizontal component. So 370 times VH is going to be the horizontal momentum after. So this would be the expression for horizontal conservation momentum, from which we found out the horizontal momentum is 8.14. And we did the same thing for vertical conservation as well, that we found out that the vertical part of the velocity is 0.57, right? Now, if you found out the horizontal components and the vertical components, what's left for you to do is you just have to use the triangle method, just use the triangle. This is 8.14, this is 0.57. And if you take Pythagoras, you can find out the resultant vector. Why? Because, what does this really equal to? This is the resultant vector, which means if you sum up the horizontal vector and the vertical vector using Pythagoras, then you will get the resultant vector v. And that's exactly how we figured out what v, the resultant vector, was. You found out the resultant vector, and just, by using tan theta, sine theta, whatever one you want, you have found out the angle of 4 degrees as well. So this is going to be, so that means the new momentum is going to be, m times this velocity, which is going to move at an angle of 4 degrees. So this is going to be 4 degrees. Okay. And that's how you do this kind of question. Now, this was, not just a single question, but, like 3 questions combined into one. Now, questions. So much work. This is so tiring. Even I'm tired. Yes, Abiha, any part which is confusing you?
No.
No? You got it? Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. Yes, Kaima? Anything you did not get? We just had to connect a lot of the concepts together.
No,
All good?
I think I have to look at it more.
Okay, okay. What part did you not get, or which part was confusing you?
I'm still looking at it.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Make sure to write this down after class and try to solve it once on your own. And write down every single word, write down, what would be the law of conservation of momentum horizontally. Why did I write this down? Why did I write VH down? Why did I write V vertical over here? Why did I use Pythagoras? Try to do it once on your own, and then questions will automatically come up, in your mind, and then bring those questions to me, and then we can solve them. Okay. But if you do not try it yourself and you just, take this for granted that I've done it, then the only one that's learning is me. If you do not do it, you're not learning anything. Right now I'm the only one that's learning. I'm just showing you how it's done. So if you actually want to learn after class, pause, think about the question, try to do it yourself. You obviously get stuck. And when you get stuck and when you try to learn why did you get stuck, that's when you actually learn. Okay. So make sure you do that. If you don't do that, and if you do not have any questions after that, that probably meant you did not, go through it by yourself, and you did not try to solve it by yourself. Because when I did this question, I had like 20 questions. Why this? Why this? Why this? Right? And once you do that process, that's when you'll actually learn how to do this question. Right? Right now, I'm just presenting to you because I already know how to do it. Okay. Sounds good. Yes, Ariz, any questions? Any part which confused you the most?
I mean, the Pythagoras thing, I just got to
Hmm.
read it again. I think I'll be able to understand it if I read it.
The Pythagoras, did you get it up till the horizontal and vertical
Yeah,
velocity?
that I understood. I understood
Yes.
that.
Now, this part was just from vectors, if you remember.
Yeah.
This part was just from vectors. In fact, let me just do a tiny little question as well. For example, if there's a ball and there's one person that's pushing you to the right with a force of 6 newtons, and there's another person that's pushing you upwards with a force of 3 newtons. My question is, what is the resultant force and what direction? This is exactly the same question. After this point, this stopped being a momentum question and a vector question instead, right? So this was just vectors. So exactly the same way, this is your vertical force, right? This is how
So,
much, this is how much horizontal force was being applied. This is how
yeah.
much vertical force was being applied, right? And again, this is a vector. Let's bring them down. What do we do for, joining vectors? We join them head to tail, right? So I've
From
joined
head
them
to
head to
tail.
tail. Exactly. And then you join the tails together. You join the tails together. And this tail is going to be the resultant force, right? And how do I find
Yeah.
out this value? I can just use Pythagoras. 6 square plus 3 square equal to resultant force square. Then, take an under root on both sides. Sorry, and this becomes resultant force, right? So the resultant force
Yeah.
is found out by Pythagoras. 6 square plus 3 square. Now, another question. How do I find out the direction in which the ball is going to go, right? Because there are two people pulling on it. I do know that, let's say the ball is going to go in this direction with the force of whatever this value came out to. I don't know, let's say 10. Okay. So the ball is going to move with the resultant force of 10 in this direction. But exactly which direction? You have to figure out this theta, right? You've got to figure out exactly which direction is the ball going to go. Can you find out this theta? Yes, this theta and this theta is the same. Can you use tan theta, cos theta, sine theta, whatever you want? For tan theta, that's just what? That's through proper brushing, right? So perpendicular over base. What is perpendicular value? 3. What is the base value? 6. So 1 over 2. So that means tan theta equal to 1 over 2. How do you find theta? You take tan inverse. Theta is equals to tan inverse 1 over 2. And whatever that comes out to. So tan inverse 1 over 2 is going to be 26 degrees. 26 degrees. So that means the ball is going to move in this direction at an angle of 26 degrees with the force of 10 degrees. Okay, so this is exactly the same kind of thing that I did over here. We figured out the horizontal vector We figured out the vertical velocity. Then I use Pythagoras to figure out what the resultant velocity would be, right? What would be the sum of the velocities? What would be the resultant velocity? And then this is the resultant velocity. And then by using the same, the triangle sine theta, cos theta, tan theta, I can figure out angle theta. Okay. Yes, RS, did you get it? This is exactly, what we just did up after this point.
Yeah,
Make
I
sense?
understand. It's
Okay.
making more sense.
Sounds good. Yes, Kaima, did it clear it up for you as well a little bit?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Okay, son. But again, if you don't do it by yourself after class, you will immediately forget it. Like it won't even take you like, 1 hour. You'll forget it after 10 minutes. I guarantee that. Okay. Yes, Abiha, make sense? Did you get this vector part? I haven't discussed vectors with you, but I believe this might have, made it much clearer for you.
Yeah, I did.
Yes. Okay, sure.
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good. Excellent. Okay. I have updated this link. And again, make sure, I cannot say this enough times. If you don't do it after class, your hour will have been wasted right now, which we've spent with me. Okay. Because you just forget it pretty easily. Okay. I've updated the link. And on Saturday, we'll be doing like, 3 and 4 big more questions like this. And, by then you will probably have mastered how to do these kinds of questions. Okay. Because, you literally just can't figure out how to do these kinds of questions without, doing it like 6 or 10 times. Okay. So we'll do these 2 to 3, 4 questions on Saturday because we've got a double class. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. I am